A reminder, the news doesn't stop here. Here's what's coming up on WCNC Plus at 7 o'clock.
After that fatal shooting involving an ICE agent and a woman in Minneapolis, there is a planned protest here in Charlotte today at 5:30. We'll have details coming up.
A teacher's arrest in Rowan County is now raising broader concerns about online child exploitation.
An opportunity for us to do better.
How these investigations begin and what parents should know to keep your child safe.
A small town bar fighting to stay open after its owner says a state law is pushing insurance costs through the roof. How he's pushing through and adding he's not alone.
And this week's weather might put you in the mood for some spring cleaning.
It might. Some tips from the experts on how to kick off the new year with a little less stuff. Those stories and much more live, local, and breaking news coming up at 7 a.m. on WCNC Plus.
If you're headed northbound on I-85 from Gaston County, we usually have backups this time of the morning, but just a heads up, it is bumper to bumper out there. There's also an accident that could cause you some issues coming from Kings Mountain, and that's a crash on I-85 northbound at exit 13.
All right, let's get another check of our Jerry Hunt Supercenter 7-day forecast. We're in the 40s right now, so if you're heading out the door anytime soon, maybe just a light jacket. We'll climb into the upper 60s this afternoon, staying dry. Low 70s both Friday and Saturday with scattered showers possible throughout the overnight hours and into Saturday morning and afternoon. And then sunny as we're wrapping up our weekend and heading into next week. Lows dropping down below freezing, though, Monday morning. So that one's going to be a little painful. But we'll be prepared.
Yeah, it'll be fine. It's fine. All right. Join us over at 7 a.m. on WCNC Plus. We hope to see you there. Streaming live right now at 7 a.m. right here on WCNC Plus. I'm Ben Thompson.
And I'm Megan Bragg in for Lisa Washington. We saw such a warm day yesterday, and we're going to see nice temperatures again today. Majestic Storm is in right now to give us a look at that.
It's going to be gorgeous. Not quite as warm as yesterday, Megan. We topped off at 74 degrees yesterday. I mean, abnormally warm. We should be only at 52. And today, we're still going to see those temperatures rise back into the upper 60s. Live camera look, this one's coming in from downtown Monroe. So heading out the door this morning, some good news is we can actually see there's not so much fog like there has been over the last 3 mornings. Kannapolis looking great. So if you're heading out the door, maybe you're rushing off to work or you're just gearing up for your morning walk or run. It is comfortable out there, mild across the board, most of us into the 40s, and we're starting out to see pretty nice conditions. Sunny skies for the first half of our day with increasing cloud coverage throughout the afternoon. Again, 74 is where we topped off yesterday. I saw so many people out and about, walking around, working in their yard, and I love seeing that. People taking advantage of these nice January days. Upper 60s is where we'll top off today, so definitely not quite as warm as yesterday, but still no complaining. Current temperatures out towards Salisbury, 34 degrees, 45 in Rockingham, out towards Lancaster, 43, and right near freezing, actually, out towards Lincolnton. Highs again, upper 60s, and with that, we will have increasing cloud coverage by the afternoon and into the evening. However, today we are still dry. 69 degrees for our good friends out in Rock Hill, and even up in the mountains, still above average conditions as we're looking at Boone, 55 this afternoon and 54 in Jefferson. As we're heading into the overnight hours tonight, temperatures really only drop down into the 50s. So heading out the door on Friday, you're going to step outside and you're going to think, well, it's not that cold, and it's not going to be. It's going to set us up for another abnormally warm day. Friday is going to be definitely much more cloudier, and then we'll start to see rain showers trickle in Friday night and into Saturday. Saturday, scattered rain showers mixed in with the possibility of seeing some thunderstorm activity as well. Back behind that cold front, cooler air starts to settle in across the Carolinas, and you can see we also get sunny skies, and these temperatures are much closer to where we should be for this time of the year. However, heading out the door, that bus stop forecast Monday morning, that's going to be a brutal one with those temperatures into the upper 20s. Again, weekend forecast looks like this if you're starting to make those weekend plans. Again, Saturday does not look like a washout by any means, but scattered rain showers ahead. We have it at about 50%. So remember, that means we think 50% of our viewing area will actually get rain. Now we're watching the storm potential as well. So we'll dive a little deeper into that coming up in just a few minutes. But for now, let's send things over to Destiny with a look at the roads. Good morning.
Good morning. Yeah, we're definitely seeing a lot of heavy traffic on I-85 northbound as we typically do. Let me go ahead and get us to the camera shot here. There we go. I-85 northbound at Hickory Grove. This is the shot I keep showing because it really shows the gravity of the traffic right now. And what's not so great about this is that we also have an accident in the area that people will run into if they're heading from Kings Mountain. So just something to know there. I do want to mention that up north we had an accident near Lake Norman, Mooresville. That was near I-77 southbound and Langtree. That has since cleared. But back to that accident in Gaston County that might trip some people up. I-85 northbound at exit 13, that's the Edgewood Road exit. The shoulder is blocked, but I bring this up because be aware of that accident, but also be aware that you'll run into the backup for northbound traffic just east of Gastonia. We'll have another check of traffic coming up in a couple of minutes.
Destiny, thanks. 7:04 right now. And this morning, we are learning protests are planned here in Charlotte today, part of a growing controversy after a Minneapolis woman was fatally shot by an ICE agent. Now, it's important to say we think it's important to show you the video, but parts of it are tough to watch. It starts with what Homeland Security Chief Kristi Noem says, a woman using her SUV to block an ICE vehicle that got stuck in the snow. Then, video shows an officer right here going up to her door, another stepping in front of the vehicle in the background. You'll see him in just a second there. And that is when the driver accelerates forward and to the right. And that officer fired into the car several times. The victim, we're told, 37-year-old Renee Nicole Good, a mother. Reaction and conflicting narratives quickly poured in from state and federal leaders. Homeland Security Chief Kristi Noem says agents told Good to get out of her vehicle. She refused and then tried to run over an ICE agent. However, leaders there in Minnesota see the things very differently.
Apparently from the federal government, from the Homeland Security Director herself, has already determined who this person was, what their motive was, and they hadn't even been taken out of the vehicle. We're not living in a normal world.
To ICE, get Out of Minneapolis. We do not want you here. Your stated reason for being in this city is to create some kind of safety, and you are doing exactly the opposite.
Meantime, this video shows protesters, an aerial view of them moments after that shooting, taking to the streets, some even pelting agents and local officers with snowballs. And this morning, we know the protests are growing across the country, including right here. WCNC Charlotte's Richard Devane now live from First Ward Park, where people here in Charlotte plan to make their voices heard later tonight. Richard.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. Good morning to you. Good Thursday morning, everyone on the Plus. Basically, a protest planned right here in Charlotte, right here at First Ward Park, where I'm standing right now. They say they want to protest what has happened in Minneapolis and around the country. Now, that planned protest this evening is by the PSL, which is the Party for Socialism and Liberation. They've organized this demonstration with some other groups. They say today's protest to spotlight outrage over federal immigration enforcement tactics and demand accountability for what activists are calling an unjust killing. This protest comes after an ICE agent fatally shot Good Wednesday during that large-scale immigration operation in Minneapolis. Videos shared online and eyewitness accounts show an ICE agent firing into the driver's vehicle as it began to move. Federal officials have defended the action as self-defense, saying the woman attempted to strike agents, but local leaders in Minneapolis have questioned that narrative and condemn the use of force. Organizers here in Charlotte say the rally will begin today at First Ward Park at 5:30. They're urging attendants to protest peacefully, and they call for justice and systematic change in federal immigration enforcement. Again, that rally taking place right here at First Ward Park this evening at 5:30. We'll be there as well. We are right here in Uptown. Richard Devane, we'll send it back to you.
All right, thank you, Richard. This morning, we're learning more about the man accused of plotting a New Year's Eve terror attack in Mint Hill. 18-year-old Christian Sturdivant will remain behind bars after receiving no bond in his first federal court appearance yesterday. Prosecutors say he was radicalized when he was 14 years old through video games and never lost interest with ISIS, despite being placed in a mental health facility. The defense arguing this was all part of an online fantasy and not a real-world plan.
Regardless of the fact that we showed definitively it wasn't a ballistic vest, even though that's what was claimed. He did not have the financial means to acquire any type of guns or anything like that. Those are objective facts. He didn't have a Cash App. He didn't have a Zelle. So there was no possibility of him buying guns with those type of things. He had no funds.
Sturdivant will remain in jail as the case moves forward. If convicted, he could face up to 20 years in federal prison. Recently obtained documents show that a jury indicted Susan Robinson, Tanya McKnight, and Taryn McKnight Monday for a deadly child abuse case. Last month, 6-year-old Dominique Moody was found unresponsive at a home in East Charlotte. She later died at the hospital. Court documents showed that the home had horrific living conditions and the girl forced her into a animal crate at times to live, and intentionally set fire, destroyed portions of that home just weeks after that investigation. All 3 suspects are due back in court come March. This morning, a CMS student and bus driver are recovering after a crash in South Charlotte. It happened yesterday on Carmel Road near the Montbello neighborhood. CMS tells us the bus was coming from Providence High School. The students and bus driver are both expected to be okay. Authorities are now investigating on what caused the crash. This crash follows another that happened Monday in North Charlotte on Beatties Ford Road and Sunset Road. 2 people were hurt in that crash as well. In South Carolina, some bar and restaurant owners are expressing concerns with the state's liquor liability law. They say it's driving insurance costs so high, some can no longer afford to stay open. The law put in place in 2017 holds bars financially responsible if a customer they serve later causes a drunk driving crash. The owner of LA Tap Room in Lancaster says when they first opened, he paid just a few $1,000s a year for coverage. Now he's being quoted tens of thousands if he can find a policy at all.
I had to jump through a lot of hoops, and 90% of the people that you would call would say, I can't help you. The insurance agent that helped us the first 2 years just flat out said, I've got nothing for you. I've exhausted all my resources.
The South Carolina legislature passed a law that went into effect on the 1st that would lessen the costs. However, the owner says the change won't erase years of rising costs.
7:10 right now. Playoff game this weekend at the Panthers. They are strongly hinting, not confirming entirely, but suggesting that none other than Cam Newton will return to Bank of America Stadium this Saturday. Newton will be the keep pounding drummer, firing up the crowd for its first home playoff game since, yep, you guessed it, he quarterbacked a win in the 2015 NFC Championship game. And folks, as the Panthers prepare for that big game against the Rams this Saturday, join us all week right here on WCNC Plus. Every night at 9, we have our Panthers on the Plus show, breaking down this matchup, this moment, and probably a little Cam Newton as well. Then on Saturday, join us at 2:30 for an hour-long pregame show here on WCNC Plus. We're going to be outside the stadium. Sports director Nick Carboni is going to be there. He's going to have Danielle Stein, Logan Campbell, Eugene Robinson, Locked On Panthers host Julian Council, and that's just the start. Keep it right here on WCNC Plus.
Well, gunfire erupted at a Salt Lake City church during a funeral. What we know about the victims as police continue their search for the shooters next. Utah police are searching for suspects after gunfire erupts in a Salt Lake City church. Authorities say a fight broke outside of a funeral with at least 8 people being struck. 2 of the victims were pronounced dead. Some of the others were taken to a local hospital with 3 people were reported to be in critical condition. Witnesses described the terrifying scene.
It was like boom, 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 boom. I mean, it was fast. Someone said it was like ricocheting off the metal fence. I mean, and they said it was in the back. I mean, it was wild. So it's scary to hear for sure.
Police say the shooter or shooters remain at large, but some tips have been coming in. The FBI's area field office said it has offered to help with the investigation.
Chatbot Character AI has agreed to settle multiple lawsuits alleging the chatbot maker contributed to mental health crises and suicides among young people. The agreement was reached with Google, Character AI, and its founders. Google had invested about $3 billion to license the technology. One of the lawsuits was brought by a Florida mom, Megan Garcia, who says her 14-year-old son, Sewell Setzer, died by suicide in 2024 after developing a deep relationship with Character AI bots. The company has since implemented a series of new safety measures and features. Health gadgets at the Consumer Electronics Show making big promises this year, from smart scales that scan your feet to AI tools that track your hormones. But experts say many of these devices may not be very accurate and your data might not be fully protected. The FDA also easing rules on some low-risk wellness products, which could mean even more of this tech hitting the market soon. While creators say these gadgets fill important gaps, experts remind people they're helpful, but they're not a substitute for a doctor or professional.
Well, coming up straight ahead, we're talking about mild conditions outside this morning, but another warm day is ahead with upper 60s. I'm going to let you know when the rain showers move into our area, coming up right after the break.
It's 7:18 right now here on WCNC Plus, and it was 1 year ago this morning. Los Angeles neighbors were waking up to burned neighborhoods across that city. The Palisades and Eaton fires killing 31 people and leveling 16,000 homes and businesses.
NBC's Liz Kurtz reconnecting with two families still working to recover.
In the burn scars of the LA fires, the rubble is now cleared, some construction underway. But tonight, as these communities mark 1 year since the deadly Palisades and Eaton fires,
and you deserve the truth.
Many survivors, like the Andonian family, tell us what they're still waiting for are answers.
It's getting harder and harder, facing the reality.
Marine and Haraj, who we first met just days after losing their home in Pacific Palisades, say they were hoping by now they'd have broken ground on their new home. But like so many, have been held up by insurance, rising costs, and red tape. Across all of LA, construction is underway on around 900 homes, just a fraction of the 16,000 structures destroyed.
Why did they let it happen?
What is on the Andonians' empty lot, a clear view of the reservoir, the one that was empty and unable to be used to fight the fire that burned down this seaside neighborhood.
You believe this was 100% preventable?
Yes, 100% I believe that. And that's what makes me upset.
No one has taken responsibility, accountability.
The couple are now among thousands suing the state, other agencies, and utilities, alleging their collective failures led to the widespread destruction of the Palisades fire. The governor's office saying the suit against the state is baseless. Intense scrutiny now focusing on how the New Year's Day Lockman fire smoldered underground for nearly a week and then reignited on January 7th. The images are impossible to forget.
Seen anything like what's happening in LA right now?
This area of Altadena has become an absolute wasteland.
This was the apocalyptic scene driving along Pacific Coast Highway in Malibu.
See what it looks like today. It is still empty plot after empty plot. There's a lot of for sale signs. Only about 24 building permits have been issued and approved for construction out of the hundreds of homes that burned in this area. This is amazing.
It is.
Yes, it is. It's coming along.
In Altadena, we reconnected with the Edwards family, one of the few who have made real progress.
Are you concerned about this neighborhood changing?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. A lot of people, if they could, they would probably stay, and they just don't have the resources. And it's heartbreaking.
But they say it's their faith that's carrying them through.
We cover the home with scriptures.
It means the Lord has helped us.
Symbols of resilience forever embedded in the bones of their new home. Liz Kreutz, NBC News, Los Angeles.
All right, good Thursday morning, everyone. Let's take it back home and get a look at the weather forecast. It is going to be another really nice day today. Very mild conditions. A beautiful start to the morning for so many of us. Love seeing all the pink in the sky this morning, and at least we can actually see this morning compared to the last 3 where we were dealing with very, very dense fog. Let's break down your weather headlines. We'll look for increasing cloud coverage throughout the afternoon and the evening. Temperatures still warm, though, near 70 degrees. Friday, cloudy and warm again. And then we have that cold front pushing through Friday night and into Saturday, bringing with it scattered rain showers and possibly a few isolated thunderstorms. Current temperatures right now, look at you go, 29 degrees there in Boone. Chilly temperatures to get you out the door, near freezing in Lincolnton. Meanwhile, right here in Charlotte, we're at 43 degrees currently, and we'll see a nice mix of sun and clouds really for the first half of our day. By the afternoon, still planned for very mild temperatures, nearing 70 degrees, but notice how those clouds, they'll start to take over. Satellite and radar looks just fine for us across the Carolinas, but we're already watching the storm system that'll likely impact us on Saturday form. It's right here. You can see some of those stronger storms right here pushing across Texas and parts of Oklahoma, even up across Kansas. This front will take its time, but it's going to be tracking eastward. Now, a few things to keep in mind. We know that this will be our next best opportunity to get rain. We need rain, but the problem is this is now forming as a line of strong to severe thunderstorms. So you can see here, it's a very narrow line, but it's a long one extending out towards areas like Louisiana, Mississippi, even Alabama. Once it reaches the Carolinas, it will lose a lot of its strength, so that's good. But with that today, the Storm Prediction Center is already showing that several states will be impacted by severe weather. Even worse as we're heading into Friday, where some of those storms, they'll be capable of even producing some tornadoes. And then as we're heading into Saturday, Storm Prediction Center still has, this is new this morning, parts of the Carolinas shaded in this yellow. That means our overall risk for severe storms, it's very low, but it's not zero. So if any of those storms do actually form between Friday night and Saturday, they may have the ingredients to quickly become strong to severe. Even some of those storms could have some lightning strikes with them. Coming up in just a few minutes, I'm going to walk you through the specific timing of this all, what we're seeing when we're looking at our different models, and then breaking down the cooler air that's on the way back behind it. For now, though, let's get a check on those roads with Destiny.
Yeah, this morning I've just been looking at I-77 southbound just north of Uptown, and we're definitely seeing some backups here. There are 2 new accidents that formed because of, or 2 new accidents in the area and likely contributing to this backup here. Now let's get into the most serious one right now. I-77 south at Trade Street, the Trade Street 5th Street exit, and 2 right lanes are blocked. So that is definitely something to be aware of. But going further north here, I-77 south at LaSalle Street, another accident. So just be aware between I-85 and Uptown, you'll see this stretch of red just because we have 2 accidents, and then it's contributing to a backup that we normally see this time of the morning anyway from people commuting in. Also following this crash this morning, it's still going on between Kings Mountain and Gastonia, and that is I-85 northbound at exit 13. So just be aware that accident is there, and we still have that backup we usually see this time of the morning near Gastonia heading into Charlotte.
Live pictures right now over Uptown from our WCNC Tower Cam. What a shot. The clouds, the skyline.
It's got everything.
The forecast, by the way, as well. That helps too. Keep it right here on WCNC Plus.
Good Thursday morning, everyone. We aren't dealing with that dense fog like we have had the last 3 mornings. Rather, we are waking up to beautiful conditions from Kannapolis to Monroe, even right here in the Queen City. Current temperatures, they're mild, 43 degrees right now in Charlotte. Chilly, though, for our friends up there in Boone, 29 degrees to get you out the door. Now, we won't be quite as warm as yesterday. Yesterday, we topped off at 74 degrees. Today, planned for upper 60s with increasing cloud coverage throughout the afternoon. However, we do stay nice and dry. 64 if you're up in Hickory, and mid-50s there in Boone. As we're heading through Friday and into Saturday, we're still holding on to the warmth, but that is when we'll watch our next storm system push through. A cold front that's going to bring some scattered rain showers into the area, even a few isolated thunderstorms before cooler and more sunny weather makes its way back into the area early next week. All right, Destiny, how are the roads?
Well, traffic is really picking up right now between I-85 and Uptown, just north of Uptown on I-77 southbound. This is the traffic picture that we're looking at right now. And this is likely because of 2 accidents that just formed within the last 30 minutes. I-77 south at the Trade Street, 5th Street exit, 2 right lanes blocked.
Good morning. Happy Thursday. Thanks for joining us live on WCNC Plus. It's 7:30. I was going to say 6:30, but we're down an hour.
Don't be alarmed. It is 7:30. A lot of people just panic.
Yeah, exactly. I'm Megan Bragan for Lisa Washington.
And I'm Ben Thompson. First up this half hour. This morning we are following the growing controversy after an ICE agent shot and killed a 37-year-old woman in Minneapolis. The mayor there demanding ICE get out of the city, but the Trump administration, they are calling the shooting a justified response to what they say is domestic terrorism. NBC's Alice Barr breaks down the video, and here's a warning, folks, that some of the footage you're about to see is violent.
The city of Minneapolis, once again the center of protest, outrage, and grief.
I'm beyond the thoughts and prayers. I'm enraged now.
After an ICE officer fatally shot a 37-year-old woman identified as Renee Good. Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem says the woman was blocking an ICE vehicle that got stuck in the snow as officers tried to push it out.
She then proceeded to weaponize her vehicle.
Video from the scene shows an officer going to the driver's door, another stepping in front of the vehicle, and when the driver accelerates forward and to the right, shots fired.
The ICE officer, fearing for his life, and the other officers around him and the safety of the public fired defensive shots.
Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey pushing back.
Having seen the video of myself, I want to tell everybody directly, that is
and issuing this stark message.
To ICE, get the out of Minneapolis. We do not want you here. Your stated reason for being in this city is to create some kind of safety, and you are doing exactly the opposite.
President Trump defending the officers' actions and vowing to protect law enforcement agents. And as Homeland Security labeled the incident an act of domestic terrorism, Governor Tim Walz urged protesters to stay peaceful.
Minnesotans, don't take the bait. Do not take the bait.
While the community reels. Good's mother told the Minneapolis Star-Tribune she was a compassionate and amazing human being. Family members say she leaves behind a partner and a 6-year-old child. The FBI is joining the investigation as schools are closed across Minneapolis due to safety concerns. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
This morning, an arrest in Rowan County is raising concerns about online child exploitation.
Salisbury police say 35-year-old Juan Pablo Valencia, a local teacher, was charged after investigators traced child sexual abuse material back to him. The investigation began with a tip from the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. Authorities confirmed no students were involved. Experts stress now is the time parents should talk to their children about online safety and report anything suspicious immediately.
We know that kids as young as 3 can start reasonably having conversations in an educational setting about appropriate body boundaries and in how we identify safe adults. Because
Valencia faces third-degree sexual exploitation of a minor and is suspended without pay. The Terry Hess Child Advocacy Center continues working with law enforcement and families, providing education and support. Police say the investigation is ongoing and additional charges are possible. He remains in the Rowan County Detention Center on a $20,000 bond.
This morning, a Cabarrus County Middle School principal on administrative leave after a DWI arrest. Karina Patel is the principal at Harris Road Middle School. Police arrested her early Saturday morning after pulling her over in Mecklenburg County. Patel now out on bond. The school district says it has no further comment on the matter. North Carolina teachers ramping up pressure on state lawmakers to finally pass a state budget. Several, including some CMS teachers, walking out of the classroom yesterday, part of a statewide protest led by North Carolina Teachers in Action. The group pushing for better public funding for schools, affordable health care for educators, and salary increases. They say the protest is a way to show the community why these goals matter. By the way, North Carolina ranks low and sometimes last in public education funding and investment.
The next time I get a raise is in 2035. Who would work like that? Who would take that?
We've tried other ways. We've talked to representatives. We have tried to talk to the public, but with this is having people see us on the ground and seeing that your children are the ones that are suffering.
Just for some context here, usually a General Assembly passes the budget back in the summer or say September at the latest. And now we are 5-6 months later and we still don't have a budget. Therefore, these teachers aren't getting the increases they were hoping for.
A major housing development is coming to the Concord area. Crescent Communities announced it has closed on land for a new multi-community near the 85 and 485 interchange. The project will include nearly 300 rental homes, a fitness center, and outdoor gathering areas. The first units are expected in 2027.
In 2025, Charlotte had its strongest year for bringing in new businesses in a decade. City leaders say they plan to keep that momentum going this year by expanding public transit and offering more support to small businesses. The city supported 15 projects in 2025. Those projects bring in more than 3,000 new jobs and more than $400 million in investment here locally. Charlotte's growth making the city an attractive location for other business expansion.
Growth that is happening in Charlotte, especially North Carolina, 99% chance that we will be successful. And that made us to open one here.
Some of the biggest announcements include 4 separate projects in Ballantyne and then Scout Motors Global bringing 1,200 jobs to Plaza Midwood. All right, let's get a check of your weather impact forecast. Another nice day on tap, Majestic.
It's beautiful, and thankfully we can see today. Yesterday we had so much of that dense fog, and today we're not seeing any of it. It's 43 degrees here in Charlotte, 29 in Boone, 38 if you're just waking up and turning on the stream there in Jefferson. So mild really across the board. Once we're heading into the afternoon, do plan for more cloud coverage today, especially by the afternoon, and temperatures won't be quite as warm as yesterday. However, we're still looking at nice weather, upper 60-degree daytime highs. There's our satellite and radar. You can see a few of those high clouds there. However, we're already watching that storm that's going to be heading our direction. This storm system already triggering some strong to severe thunderstorms from Texas up into Oklahoma, even extending into Kansas. And this is going to take a while, but it's all tracking our direction. Watch what happens. Here's our futurecast taking you into the next few days. We'll pause time on Saturday because that's when we're likely going to be the most impacted here across the Carolinas. But there's a lot of important things to look at. First things first, we're feeling confident that as it continues to push off to the east, it's going to lose a lot of its strength. So that's good news there. But really, it's the timing of this. So if the cold front reaches the Carolinas, specifically, let's say Charlotte, in the afternoon, Saturday afternoon, by that point, our temperatures will be into the 70s. Those potential storms will have heat and humidity, really the ingredients for those storms to form and to take off. However, if this cold front arrives earlier in the day, that's good news. That means it's a quick moving system and it should be out of here by Saturday afternoon. So still we're figuring out the timing of this. Bottom line again is that we're confident that this is not going to be a huge deal for us here locally, but we're still watching to see if any of those storms could form. Storm Prediction Center is already indicating now that that same complex that I just showed you that's already firing up those storms this morning already has that severe weather element, especially this. This is just upgraded within the last 20 minutes. Parts of Oklahoma now under that medium level risk. Then as we're heading into Friday, notice as that front gets closer to the Carolinas, it's still packing a punch with strong to severe storms, thunderstorms that could produce strong damaging winds, hail, and even tornadoes. But then once we head into Saturday, that threat will decrease. That's important to keep in mind. But there is a change in the forecast. Just yesterday, we were not highlighted at all, but now we are highlighted under a low-end risk for severe storms. So, of course, we can't say for sure that the storms are going to form and that we could see a few strong storms, but the key here is that if those storms do form, they could have the ingredients, especially by Saturday afternoon, to briefly become strong to severe because, remember, again, by Saturday afternoon, we'll have the heat and the humidity to provide that fuel for those storms. It's not going to be widespread. It's going to be quite scattered in nature, so that's important to know. Then we have that dip in our jet stream taking us through the end of our weekend and into next week. Cooler temperatures on the way, but then even a bigger dip in our jet stream, allowing much colder air by the end of next week. So winter is returning. I'll show you my 7-day forecast coming up, but Destiny, let's get a check on those roads.
Yeah, right now we are seeing a couple more incidents pop up, but there is some good news. One crash that was on I-77 southbound north of Uptown has cleared. So traffic is starting to move a little bit more now. So that is good, but we're not completely out of the woods. I-77 south at LaSalle Street, that's exit 12. Still an accident showing up on the map here, and you can see just what the backup is. The other accident was at the Trade Street exit, exit 10. That has cleared, but again, you'll still have to deal with this backup all the way to the I-85 interchange. We also have a bus accident east of town, Harris Boulevard at Hickory Grove Road. We're starting to see a little bit of that red buildup for southbound Harris Boulevard, so just be aware of that this morning. This is very new. And then we also have this accident we're continuing to follow out in Kings Mountain and Gastonia, between there and Gaston County on the northbound side.
All right, folks, keep in mind as the Panthers get ready for their playoff game this week, and join us for coverage all week long right here on WCNC Plus. You can join us every night at 9 for our Panthers on the Plus special, and then on Saturday, join us at 2:30 for an hour-long pregame show right here on WCNC Plus outside the stadium. Nick Carboni is going to be there with Danielle Stein, Logan Campbell, and several other of our favorites.
Big changes to America's dietary guidelines, what the new food pyramid means for your plate, coming up next. Well, members of the Charleston community came together Wednesday to remember a midwife who died during complications during childbirth. Dr. Janelle Green Smith died on January 2nd while giving birth to her first child. She was just 31 years old. Smith, who was Black, had spent her whole life advocating for Black maternal health. In a statement, the American College of Nurse Midwives said her death underscores the reality that Black women face disproportionate risks during pregnancy and childbirth. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, Black women are 3 times more likely to die from a pregnancy-related cause than white women.
There are new dietary guidelines for Americans pushing more meat, full-fat dairy, and warnings against ultra-processed foods. NBC's Ann Thompson explains the Trump administration's new food pyramid.
The Trump administration making over America's food pyramid, with meat, cheese, and dairy now on top.
Eat real food.
The new dietary guidelines double the recommended portion of daily protein, encourage full-fat dairy items instead of low-fat, avoid ultra-processed foods, including some cookies, crackers, and chips. On alcohol, Americans should limit consumption instead of previous guidance of no more than 2 drinks a day for men, 1 for women.
In the best case scenario, I don't think you should drink alcohol.
Many in the health community praise the avoidance of ultra-processed foods, but worry about the increase in protein.
Are you at all concerned that Americans will see that recommendation and think I can eat more red meat?
I think there's 2 big concerns with this focus on higher protein. One is that people will immediately translate protein to meat and eat more red meat, thinking that's, that the most healthful choice when there are other healthier choices. And 2, that all of these highly processed foods that are right now adding protein isolates, energy bars and water and cereals, are going to get a big boost.
As for those ultra-processed foods, I asked Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. if government should do more.
Should ultra-processed foods be regulated?
Well, our approach is not to tell people what they can and cannot eat. It's to give them good information and let them make their own choices. We live in a democracy. If you want to drink a Coca-Cola and eat a donut, you ought to be able to do that. But it is costing our country money, and it's destroying public health.
Well, it turns out common preservatives used to keep food safe and extend shelf life may be linked to a higher risk of several cancers and type 2 diabetes. That's according to a pair of new studies out of France. The cancer study closely examined the impact of 58 preservatives on more than 100,000 people who were free of cancer. It found 6 preservatives linked to cancer are still considered generally recognized as safe by the FDA. Another study found more than 100,000 people and 12 preservatives tied to nearly a 50% higher risk of developing type 2 diabetes. Experts say the findings support reevaluating food additives regulations and highlight the value of eating minimally processed foods. As respiratory illnesses continue to spread across the country, South Carolina health officials say a child has died from the flu. The Department of Public Health says the child was from the upstate. It's the state's first child flu-related death, but it brings the total number of flu-related deaths to 26. Health officials say everyone 6 months and older should get vaccinated to stay protected.
Well, everybody's talking about affordability this year. And if you're in the market to buy a new car, Edmunds has picked 5 standouts that deliver strong value for your money. First up, for small cars, take a look. The Honda Civic tops the list for solid safety ratings and a price that stays below that $25,000 mark. In the next category, mid-sized cars, the Toyota Camry been around forever. The Camry wins for its excellent gas mileage and family-friendly features. Now, if you're wanting to go to the SUV category but keep it small, the Hyundai Kona performs well in crash tests and features evidently a long warranty. Want to size up just a little bit more? The Kia Sportage Hybrid, that offers strong fuel savings, of course, because of the hybrid, and then lots of tech. Finally here, mid-size SUVs. The Hyundai Palisade delivers 3 rows while still keeping impressive gas mileage for families out there on the budget. So the bottom line here, whether you need something small, maybe you need something spacious or something for the full family, these picks stretch your dollar without necessarily cutting some corners. 7:28 right now. Today in history, a rock and roll legend born whose influence still moves crowds nearly 50 years after the death.
All right, are we awake? Good Thursday morning, everyone. We're off to a really pretty start to the morning. Unlike yesterday, we don't have any fog out there. Rather, we're enjoying some sunshine, and you can look forward to sunshine mainly for the first half of our day with increasing cloud coverage as we're heading towards the afternoon and evening. You can see our bus stop forecast as we were waking up those kids, getting them off to the school day. It's been mild, but maybe as you're picking them up after school, you need to know we're staying dry today, cloudy conditions this afternoon, but temperatures still very nice into the upper 60s if they have any after-school sport activities. Now, throughout the day today, again, we'll get the most amount of sunshine early in the day. You can see increasing cloud coverage, but really the big story in our weather today is that it is going to be warm. Another day of those above average temperatures. And again, we really went into detail about that front expected to move in Friday and into Saturday already. But again, this is what we're kind of preparing for next. We know the rest of our work week, it stays quiet, and then we'll watch that storm system continue to track eastward. Remember, once it gets to us, there is still some uncertainty as to how much the line of thunderstorms will actually weaken, and then also the timing of it. If it moves in early on Saturday, great. It'll move off to the east quickly, but if it takes its time and it actually gets to the Carolinas by Saturday afternoon, it could be a little bit more problematic when we're talking about storm potential because we'll have the ingredients for those storms to actually form. One of the major things will be those very warm temperatures. This is Saturday, 4 o'clock, the big games. Panthers taking on the LA Rams. Again, the game doesn't actually start until 4:30, but by this point, it's warm out there and our dew points will be a little higher. So we'll have actually moisture in the atmosphere. Scattered rain showers, so we're keeping it at 50% right now. Remember, that means 50% of our area actually receiving at least some rain showers, and then a few storms will be possible. And the difference in our forecast today compared to yesterday is that now the Storm Prediction Center has our area under a low-end risk for severe storms on Saturday. So if those storms form, it's not out of the question for one or two of them to actually become a little more intense at times. And then you can see this dip in our jet stream. That'll take us into Monday morning. That's going to be a big cool down, but even a more significant drop in our jet stream as we're heading into next week. You can see temperatures again feeling nice, looking good outside. Enjoy it while it lasts. So 70s going to continue through Saturday and then cooler by Sunday, but especially Monday morning, 28 degrees. So we'll definitely feel like winter has returned. All right, Destiny, how are the roads? Any accidents people need to know about?
Yeah, we're seeing definitely an increase of accidents this morning, and we've just got more people on the road, and so you'll deal with congestion as well along our interstates. Looking at I-77 at mile marker 9 near Uptown this morning. The northbound side doing fine, but southbound I-77 still an issue this morning. We're still following this accident, I-77 south at LaSalle Street. Just know if you're getting off I-85 to go to southbound I-77 towards Uptown, you're going to be dealing with this long stretch of congested traffic. This is new South Boulevard north at Tyvola Road. This is an accident that's going to be causing some issues for folks headed northbound on South Boulevard. And then a bus accident still following this, Harris Boulevard at Hickory Grove Road.
Today marks
the birth of Elvis Presley, the king of rock and roll.
It's a birthday.
Yeah, happy birthday, Elvis.
That's right.
Yeah. He was born in January, and he's going to be, born in 1935. Elvis would be 91 years old. Fans around the world are celebrating his legacy from his early days to his iconic years at Graceland. His music, movies, and style continue to influence artists nearly 5 decades after his death. Many are marking the week with tributes, playlists, and celebrations honoring his life. Elvis's first performance in the Carolinas was at the Carolina Theater back in Charlotte in February of 1956 when he was just 21 years old before becoming a national sensation.
And the theater now reopened in the last year.
Oh, yeah.
I need to still go to it. It looks beautiful.
It's awesome.
I need to ask Larry, did he know Elvis? Because he knows everyone.
I know.
He has Elvis stories.
Yes, he has stories.
He has Elvis stories because Larry was in Memphis at the time Elvis was.
Yeah,
so
I'll have to hear about one today.
You will, yes. Ask him.
One time they went to the movies together, like
He,
a
like,
big
sat behind
entourage
us.
or something.
Yeah.
There's a whole story about it.
Yeah.
Oh, Larry.
He's the most interesting man ever. So
I know, right? All right, live fixtures right now over Uptown. Keep it right here on WCNC Plus. We're back after this.
All right, good morning, everyone. If you're just waking up and joining us, it is gorgeous out there. We have plenty of sunshine in place. A little chilly, though, up there in Boone. 29 degrees there, 43, meanwhile, in and around Charlotte. So grab a jacket as you head out the door today. Otherwise, get ready for another very warm day ahead. Upper 60-degree temperatures, not quite as warm as yesterday. Yesterday was stunning, 74 for our high. We're getting you ready and prepared for our next cold front. It's going to make its way eastward, really impacting us Friday night and into Saturday. Scattered rain showers possible, and we could see a few isolated thunderstorms as well. So stay close to the WCNC weather team. We'll keep you up to date with the very latest. Destiny.
Yeah, right now we're following several accidents. I-77 south at LaSalle Street, still just a large backup here between I-85 and Uptown. So if you're headed southbound, just heads up there. We're also following a new accident, South Boulevard northbound at Tyvola Road. So if you're taking South Boulevard to avoid I-77 traffic, be aware of that. We'll talk about more on the Plus.
Streaming live right now at 8 a.m. right here on WCNC Plus. I'm Ben Thompson.
And I'm Megan Bragg, and for Lisa Washington. Let's get over to Majestic Storm. Majestic tracking another beautiful day for us.
It is gorgeous outside, and today overall planned for a lot of sunshine for the first half of the day and then more cloud coverage later on in the day. But bottom line, we're still holding on to very warm temperatures. Mild as you're heading out the door this morning, and then our afternoon highs won't be quite as warm as yesterday, but still above where we should be. It's cold this morning up there in Boone, 29 degrees. Grab that heavy jacket before you head out the door. Near freezing in Lincolnton, 38 in Rock Hill, and 43 in Charlotte. So maybe you're heading out for your morning walk. It's going to be beautiful. Just grab a jacket. You'll probably want that. Into the afternoon, upper 60-degree temperatures is where we should top off. And again, our normal for this time of the year definitely is not 60s and 70s. It's 52 degrees. But today, again, it is going to be much warmer than that. So if you like the warmer weather, we still have a couple more days of it, not just for us here in Charlotte, but look at areas like Lancaster and Shiraz, 68 degrees for you, 67 in Monroe, and even mild up in the high country with mid to upper 50s returning. Now for Friday, we still have low 70-degree temperatures, a mainly cloudy day though, and then Saturday still very warm, 72 for our high, but we're watching a cold front that's going to be sweeping through really much of the country, bringing with it strong to severe thunderstorms for some of us, and for us specifically, our overall threat for any strong storms, it's very low, but it's not zero. Back behind that front will come cooler air, mid-50s on Sunday, some sunshine, and then below freezing temperatures heading out the door on Monday morning. That's going to be a big change in the weather pattern. So we're already seeing some storms fire up this morning across Texas and Oklahoma. This front will start to head our way, and as it moves eastward, not surprisingly, it is going to lose a lot of its strength, a lot of its momentum by the time it actually reaches the Carolinas. So that is good news. We know it will get weaker, but we're also still uncertain when it comes to the timing. When will the front actually arrive? If it arrives in the morning, that would be best case scenario. Temperatures will still be rather on the cooler side, and then it just quickly passes across the Carolinas. However, if the front stalls out a little bit, or if it just takes a little longer to actually reach us, say it moves in Saturday afternoon, by that point, temperatures will be into the 70s. We'll have some heat. We'll even have a little humidity, and that is a perfect ingredient for a few storms to form. And now the Storm Prediction Center has parts of our viewing area under that low-end risk for a strong to severe thunderstorm to form. So as you're making your weekend plans, Saturday is going to be the day where we have some scattered rain showers. It's important to note that this is not an all-day rainy weather event. It's not a washout. It just could be inconvenient because of the big game we have here in Charlotte. Sunday, cooler, mid-50s, but that's more so where we should be for this time of the year. Coming up in just a few minutes, I'm going to extend this out to my full 7-day forecast. But for now, let's send things over to Destiny with a check on those roads. Good morning, Destiny.
Majestic, I'll take it for right now. We'll check back in with Destiny in just a moment. First this morning, we are learning protests are planned here in Charlotte today. Part of growing controversy after a Minneapolis woman was fatally shot by an ICE agent. We think it's important to show you the video, but parts of it are tough to watch. It starts off with what Homeland Security Chief Kristi Noem says is the woman using her SUV there on the right to block an ICE vehicle that got stuck in the snow. Then the video shows an officer going right up to her door. You see it right here. Another stepping in front of the vehicle. You'll see him right there in the background. And that is when the driver accelerates forward and to the right, and that officer fired in the car what appeared to be several times. The victim, we're told, a 37-year-old mother, Renee Nicole Good. Reaction and conflicting narratives quickly pouring in from state and federal leaders. Secretary Kristi Noem says agents told Good to get out of her vehicle. She refused and then tried to run over an ICE agent. However, leaders there in Minnesota see things far differently.
Apparently from the federal government, from the Homeland Security Director herself, has already determined who this person was, what their motive was, and they hadn't even been taken out of the vehicle. We're not living in a normal world.
To ICE, get the fuck out of Minneapolis. We do not want you here. Your stated reason for being in this city is to create some kind of safety, and you are doing exactly the opposite.
Meantime, we've got this aerial footage showing protesters moments after the shooting pouring into the streets there in Minneapolis, in some cases pelting agents and local officers with snowballs. And this morning we're learning those protests are growing across the country and right here at home. WCNC Charlotte's Richard Devane now live from First Ward Park, where people here in Charlotte plan to make their voices heard later tonight. Richard.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct, Ben. Good morning to you. Good morning, Megan. Good Thursday morning to our folks on the Plus. Basically, that event will take place later tonight right here, First Ward Park, where there will be another protest. This particular protest has been called by the group the PSL, which is the Party for Socialism and Liberation. They've organized this demonstration with other groups in response to that shooting of Renee Nicole Good by that U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement agent. Now, they say today's protest to spotlight outrage over the immigration enforcement tactics. They also want accountability for what they call an unjust killing. The protest comes after that agent shot Good Wednesday during that large-scale immigration operation. The video shared online, an eyewitness account showing an ICE agent firing into the driver's vehicle as it began to move. Federal officials have defended the action, saying it's self-defense, saying that Good attempted to strike the agents, but local leaders have questioned that narrative and condemned the use of force. Now, organizers in Charlotte say this rally tonight will be here at First Ward Park starting this evening at 5:30. They urging their attendees to protest peacefully. They're also calling for justice and systematic change in federal immigration enforcement. Now, again, we will be here as well. We'll bring you details of what happened. We don't know the number of people expected here, but as we get more information, we'll, of course, present it to you on all of our platforms. We're right here in First Ward Park. Richard Devane, we'll send it back to you.
All right, thank you, Richard. This morning, we're learning more about the man accused of plotting a New Year's Eve terror attack in Mint Hill. 18-year-old Christian Sturtevant will remain behind bars after receiving no bond in his first federal court appearance yesterday. Prosecutors say he was radicalized when he was 14 years old through video games and never lost interest with ISIS despite being placed in a mental health facility. The defense arguing this was all part of an online fantasy and not a real-world plan.
Regardless of the fact that we showed definitively it wasn't a ballistic vest, even though that's what was claimed. He did not have the financial means to acquire any type of guns or anything like that. Those are objective facts. He didn't have a Cash App. He didn't have a Zelle. So there was no possibility of him buying guns with those type of things. He had no funds.
Sturtevant will remain in jail as the case moves forward. If convicted, he could face up to 20 years in federal prison.
Recently obtained documents show that a jury indicted Susan Robinson, Tanya McKnight, and Taryn McKnight Monday for a deadly child abuse case. Last month, 6-year-old Dominique Moody was found unresponsive at a home in East Charlotte. She later died at the hospital. Court documents showed that the home had horrific living conditions and the girl was forced to live in an animal crate at times. An intentionally set fire destroyed portions of that home just weeks after the investigation started. All 3 suspects due back in court in March.
This morning, a CMS student and bus driver are recovering after a crash in South Charlotte. It happened yesterday on Carmel Road near the Montbello neighborhood. CMS tells us the bus was coming from Providence High School. The student and bus driver are both expected to be okay. Authorities are now investigating on what caused the crash. Now, this crash follows another that happened Monday in North Charlotte on Beatties Ford Road and Sunset Road. 2 people were hurt in that crash as well. In South Carolina, some bar and restaurant owners are expressing concerns with the state's liquor liability law. They say it's driving insurance costs so high some can no longer afford to stay open. The law put in place in 2017 holds bars financially responsible if a customer they serve later causes a drunk driving crash. The owner of LA Tap Room in Lancaster says when they first opened, he paid just a few $1,000s a year for coverage. Now he's being quoted tens of thousands of dollars if he can find a policy at all.
I had to jump through a lot of hoops and 90% of the people that you would call would say, I can't help you. The insurance agent that helped us the first 2 years just flat out said, I've got nothing for you. I've exhausted all my resources.
The South Carolina legislature passed a law that went into effect on the 1st that would lessen the costs. However, the owner says the change won't erase years of rising costs.
The Panthers strongly hinting that Cam Newton might return to Bank of America Stadium this Saturday for the playoff game. Newton supposedly could be the keep pounding drummer firing up the crowd for its first home playoff game since, you guessed it, he quarterbacked a win in the 2015 NFC Championship game. And as the Panthers prepare for the big game against the Rams this Saturday, Join us right here on WCNC Plus. Every night at 9, we're going to have our Panthers on the Plus special, breaking down the matchup and the moment. Then on Saturday, join us at 2:30 for an hour-long pregame show outside the bank. Sports Director Nick Caboni is going to be there, along with Danielle Stein, Logan Campbell, Eugene Robertson, and Locked On Panthers host Julian Council.
Good morning. We are definitely starting to see some more incidents out there. This is I-77 at mile marker 6 near Woodlawn Road this morning. Traffic starting to build as you head northbound on I-77 in South Charlotte, coming up from South Carolina. So just a heads up there. We did have a crash here, 1-lane block due to a crash on the, again, I-77 southbound near exit 90. So this is in that area of I-77 in South Carolina. This is an accident on the southbound side, but as you can see, northbound traffic here is also an issue. Going up north into the Charlotte area, we do have an accident on South Boulevard North at Tyvola Road. We also are following a bus crash, Harris Boulevard at Hickory Grove Road. And then a couple other incidents that have popped up recently. Brookshire Boulevard southbound, a crash there at the I-85 exit. And then we also have this one here, a lane block due to a crash on Randolph Road southbound at Sharon Amity Road. A couple of other incidents still on the map at this time, but these are the most impactful right now to your morning commute.
And before we head to break, here's an exclusive shopping deal for our viewers.
Hey, you know how we do it. Our team is always testing tons of products. We get rid of the rejects, only show you the best ones, and that's why I want to show you this thing today. It's the Tire Hero Portable Tire Inflator. Let me shut this off for a second. Literally true story, 2 weeks ago, I got stuck on the side of the road, glass in the tire. I barely made it to the gas station. Almost cost me hundreds of dollars to tow. So you need one of these anyway. The reason I think this is one of the best on the market is for this reason. Come on, and let me show you. So let's say you don't know the PSI of your car, you don't know what it's supposed to be, or if you want to inflate a ball, it does it for you. So you see the little car icon right there? You can flip through these. Okay, I want to do my car. No, I want to do my motorcycle, little motorcycle icon. I want to do my bicycle tire. Or I want to do a soccer ball or an exercise ball. I just blew these up. The other cool thing about this is this. Come on and look at this. It's got the USB adapters here. It acts as a portable battery charger, so you can charge your tablet, you can charge your phone. It also comes with all these different nozzles for kind of anything you would have. It's small enough to literally, I mean, it's a pretty packed glove compartment, right? Look at that. It still fits. Nice and easy. Got a great deal for you on this today. And by the way, you want one of these anyway. You want this anyway because you can save $60 a year for properly inflated tires. So why wouldn't you? Get this one though, because I think it's the best on the market. $69.99 normally. Got a deal for you today. 20% off down to $55.99. Scan the QR code on the screen right now or go to shoptvdeals.com.
It's been 3 years since Tyree Nichols was beaten to death by Memphis police officers. Last night, a candlelight vigil was held in his honor. In 2023, Nichols was pulled over by police on suspicion of reckless driving. He ran from police after he was pulled from the car, pepper sprayed, and tased. Following his arrest, the 29-year-old black man was hospitalized and later died from his injuries. 5 former Memphis police officers faced state and federal charges. 3 were acquitted in state court, but a federal judge has granted new trials. The other 2 pleaded guilty.
Australia's Prime Minister has announced a new commission looking into anti-Semitism in the country. It comes weeks after a mass shooting at a Jewish holiday event on Bondi Beach that killed 15 people. The investigation is going to look into the rise of anti-Semitism and the circumstances surrounding the attack, and can recommend ways to strengthen law enforcement and prevent extremism. The commission has the power to call witnesses and demand documents. A final report is due December 14th. That's 1 year after the shooting. Well, a year after the deadly LA County fires, communities still rebuilding, still demanding answers. We hear from some of those neighbors next.
Well, this week marks the first anniversary of the devastating fires in LA County. The Palisades and Eaton fires burned more than 37,000 acres and killed 31 people. Homes, schools, and businesses all destroyed. A year later, city leaders, including LA District Attorney Nathan Hochman, praised the communities for their resilience during this time.
What we saw in the devastation and then the aftermath of the fires is that these communities have not abandoned their communities, but in Palisades, it's Palisades strong. In the Eden fire, it's Altadena strong.
Many residents of those communities claim the recovery is failing. A number of events to honor the victims and to provide financial support for rebuilding efforts are being held. 7 in 10 families are still displaced from their homes due to delayed insurance payments.
8:20, turning back to your forecast right now with Majestic, and we didn't have the fog like we've seen the last few mornings, but we still have the nice weather.
Oh yeah, today is going to be a really nice start to the morning. Finally, sunny skies to start out the day. We don't have all of that fog. The last 3 mornings we've had those dense fog advisories in place, but not today. It's a nice start to the morning, and I'll tell you this, it won't be quite as warm as to where we topped off yesterday. Yesterday, 74 degrees. Today, only upper 60s. I say only. It's actually way above where we should be for this time of the year, but it is cooler than yesterday. Our average high for this time of the year, it's 52 degrees. Instead today, we'll start to see those temperatures rise into the mid 60s by about 1 o'clock, and then you'll notice a lot of cloud coverage as we're wrapping up our afternoon and heading into the weekend. Now let's talk about the temperatures over the next 10 days. Above average, not just today, but low 70s will return Friday and Saturday. And then notice as we're heading into the second half of our weekend and into early next week, temperatures take a dip, that's for sure, but then they warm up a little bit Tuesday and Wednesday. But look at Thursday, that cold air making its return with a high temperature of only 44 degrees. So those are our highs, but look at our lows over the next 10 days. 53 degrees tonight. Remember what I told you? Our average high temperature, it's 52 degrees. So if that doesn't tell you that things are just abnormally weird, I don't know what else will. As we're heading into this weekend, though, temperatures start to drop, remember, by Sunday. And then Monday morning, heading out the door, whether you're heading off to work, maybe getting those kids to school, it is going to feel a lot more like winter time, not just Monday and Tuesday, but then again, as we're heading later on into next week. Rain chances, dry today, dry tomorrow for the most part, but Friday night and into Saturday, that's when we do have that cold front on the way. Saturday, we have it set still at 50%, so that means this is not a washout, this is not widespread. Rain showers will be scattered. And then heading into next week, seems like Thursday we'll have another opportunity for some rain. So Futurecast, again, no problems in the forecast today. Tomorrow, pretty quiet as a whole, but it is this line that starts to form. It's already bringing some strong to severe storms this morning in parts of Oklahoma. That line is going to strengthen, and then it's going to decrease as it gets closer to the Carolinas. So losing a lot of its strength, but again, on Saturday, there is still a chance for some scattered rain showers that may impact the game. Hopefully we don't have any of those storms, but it's not out of the question for a few of those isolated thunderstorms to form, especially Saturday afternoon with temperatures into the upper 60s, low 70s. We'll have the heat and humidity that storms really like so that they can actually form. And then remember, we have those 2 cool downs on the way. First, we have that first drop in our jet stream right here, taking us into early next week, but then a much deeper dig. You can see it as we're heading into the later half of next week, and that means much cooler temperatures are ahead. Bottom line, get outside and enjoy it. I'll show you our full 7-day forecast coming up. Destiny, how are the roads? Any major accidents?
Not on our interstate. So if you're headed on I-77 right now, things are looking fine northbound here on Woodlawn. So just a heads up there, things are looking fine, but we are following a new accident on Woodlawn Road just before you get to I-77, and that's a crash at Woodlawn Road in both directions at Nations Crossing Road. The incident is in the right lane, so just a heads up there. We're seeing a little bit of a medium impact due to that crash. Now going over to the west to the Steel Creek area, crash on Westinghouse Boulevard, both directions at Steel Creek Road. Huge backup here, especially for folks heading northbound on Steel Creek. And then we also have this crash that we're still following, South Boulevard North at Tyvola Road. It looks like it's improving though. There used to be some orange here, now it's just some yellow. And then we also have this accident with the left lane blocked, Brookshire Boulevard southbound at I-85.
Live pictures right now over Uptown to start your Thursday morning. Keep it right here on WCNC Plus.
Well, good Thursday morning to you. I'm meteorologist Majestic Storm, and we are waking up to sunny skies out there. Sunny and mild and setting the tone for another very warm day. It's 43 degrees in Charlotte. It's 34 in Lincolnton and 29 up there in Boone. Overall, our average high this time of the year, it's 52 degrees, but today will be nearing 70. Plan for increasing cloud coverage throughout the afternoon. However, we do stay dry today, that is. And then Friday night and into Saturday, we're watching a cold front that is going to trigger some scattered showers and possibly a couple of storms. And then by tomorrow, cooler. By Sunday, it's going to be cooler, but at least we get that sunshine. There's that Jerry Hunt Supercenter 7-day forecast. Get outside and enjoy the nice weather while we have it before scattered rain moves in by Saturday. Destiny.
This morning, we are seeing some congestion on the interstates, but no big accidents at this time. We've had some things that have cleared, but just be aware, northbound I-77 south near South Carolina, and then Gastonia traffic going into Charlotte is also usually backed up this time of the morning. The biggest crash we're seeing with the biggest impact right now is on Brookshire Boulevard southbound at I-85. Left lane is blocked. Join us for more on WCNC Plus. Thank you so much for joining us on WCNC Plus at 8:30. I'm Megan Bragg, in for Lisa Washington.
And I'm Ben Thompson. This morning, we're following the growing controversy over an ICE agent who shot and killed a 37-year-old woman on a Minneapolis street. The mayor demanding ICE get out of the city, but the Trump administration calling the shooting a justified response to what it considers domestic terrorism. NBC's Alice Barr breaks down the video, and here's a warning that some of the footage you're about to see could be tough to watch.
The city of Minneapolis, once again the center of protest, outrage, and grief.
I'm beyond the thoughts and prayers. I'm enraged now.
After an ICE officer fatally shot a 37-year-old woman identified as Renee Good. Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem says the woman was blocking an ICE vehicle that got stuck in the snow as officers tried to push it out.
She then proceeded to weaponize her vehicle.
Video from the scene shows an officer going to the driver's door, another stepping in front of the vehicle, and when the driver accelerates forward and to the right, shots fired.
The ICE officer, fearing for his life and the other officers around him and the safety of the public, fired defensive shots.
Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey pushing back.
Having seen the video of myself, I want to tell everybody directly, that is
and issuing this stark message.
To ICE, get the out of Minneapolis. We do not want you here. Your stated reason for being in this city is to create some kind of safety, and you are doing exactly the opposite.
President Trump defending the officers' actions and vowing to protect law enforcement agents. And as Homeland Security labeled the incident an act of domestic terrorism, Governor Tim Walz urged protesters to stay peaceful.
Minnesotans, don't take the bait. Do not take the bait.
While the community reels. Good's mother told the Minneapolis Star-Tribune she was a compassionate and amazing human being. Family members say she leaves behind a partner and a 6-year-old child. The FBI is joining the investigation as schools are closed across Minneapolis due to safety concerns. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
This morning, an arrest in Rowan County raising concerns about online child exploitation.
Salisbury police say 35-year-old Juan Pablo Valencia, a local teacher, was charged after investigators traced child sexual abuse material back to him. The investigation began with a tip from the National Centers for Missing and Exploited Children. Authorities confirmed no students were involved. Experts stress now is the time to talk to your children about online safety and report anything suspicious immediately.
We know that kids as young as 3 can start reasonably having conversations in an educational setting about appropriate body boundaries and in how we identify safe adults. Because
Valencia faces third-degree sexual exploitation of a minor and is suspended without pay. The Terry Hess Child Advocacy Center continues working with law enforcement and families, providing education and support. Police say the investigation is ongoing and additional charges are possible. He remains in the Rowan County Detention Center on a $20,000 bond.
This morning, a Cabarrus County Middle School principal is on administrative leave after a DWI arrest. Karina Patel is the principal at Harris Road Middle School. Police arrested her early Saturday morning after pulling her over in Mecklenburg County. Patel now on bond. School district says it has no further comment on the matter. North Carolina teachers ramping up pressure on state lawmakers to pass a budget. Several, including some CMS teachers, walking out of the classrooms yesterday. Part of a statewide protest led by North Carolina Teachers in Action. The group pushing for better pay, for better public funding for schools, affordable health care and for educators, and better pay. They say the protest is to show the community why these goals matter. By the way, North Carolina ranks low and sometimes last in public education funding and investment.
Mecklenburg County's Metropolitan Public Transportation Authority held its first meeting of the year. The CAT's interim CEO shined light onto several public transit operations. He says the Federal Transit Administration's administrator will be visiting the Queen City on January 16th.
He will be engaging with staff, and there are several elements to his visit. One is a ride on the Blue Line, and a second is a roundtable with staff, some members of the business community, as well as Administrator Molinaro.
The CAT's interim CEO says he and other transit officials will also be testifying at a special legislative committee hearing in Raleigh on January 29th.
In 2025, Charlotte had its strongest year for bringing in new businesses in a decade. City leaders say they plan to keep that momentum going this year by expanding public transit and offering more support to small businesses. The city and county supported 15 project announcements in 2025. Those projects bringing in more than 3,000 new jobs and more than $400 million in investment across Charlotte over the next few years. City's growth making the city an attractive location for business expansion.
Growth that is happening in Charlotte, especially North Carolina, 99% chance that we will be successful. And that made us to open one here.
Some of the biggest announcements include 4 separate projects coming to Valentine, and then Scout Motors bringing 1,200 jobs to Plaza Midwood.
All right, well, good morning, everyone. Let's get a look at the weather forecast as we are heading into our Thursday. It is beautiful. A lot of sunshine out there, and we're going to see the most amount of sunshine early in the day, and then more clouds start to push in as we head towards the afternoon and evening. Comfortable if you're heading out the door now, mainly into the 40s, but by the afternoon, we should only be into the lower end of the 50s, but today those temperatures will rise back above our average. Upper 60s for many of us today under mainly cloudy skies. late this afternoon. So if you want to head out and get some sunshine, you got to do it sooner rather than later. Yesterday, wasn't it incredible? Hopefully you got outside. It was 74 degrees for our high. Today, not quite that warm, but still no complaints. It's still going to be a nice one. Upper 60s there in Rock Hill and Gastonia, 65 degrees this afternoon. Out there in Chester, overnight lows tonight drop down into the low 50s. Remember, this should actually be right around our average daytime high. And then tomorrow, back into the low 70s. However, mainly cloudy skies. Scattered rain showers start to push in late Friday and into Saturday, all because of a front. And Saturday is going to be the day where it is going to be warm. Waking up Saturday, 60 degrees. We see temperatures climb into the 70s. It is going to be warm, and there will even be a little humidity in the air. Might not be noticeable to you, but our dew points expected to rise as that front gets closer. Scattered showers, and scattered is the key word. This is not going to be an all-day rain event, but scattered across the Charlotte metro area, and we could even see a few isolated thunderstorms as well. Back behind that front, we'll see cooler temperatures with mid-50s by Sunday. Sunny skies will continue into next week, and Monday morning 28 degrees to get you out the door, so a chilly start to our new work week. That cold front, that's going to be really what we're preparing for next as we're getting closer and closer to the weekend. That front is already starting to form actually back west out towards Oklahoma and Kansas this morning with already strong to severe thunderstorms. We already know that this storm system is going to pack a punch, bringing with it the severe weather threat not just today, but Thursday, Friday, and Saturday as it continues to track east. We know once it tracks eastward, it's going to lose a lot of its strength. That's good news. And again, this is not going to be a washout for us, but could we see a few storms actually get triggered by that front? I think possibly we could. Storm Prediction Center now has parts of the Carolinas shaded in yellow. That means we have a low end risk for severe weather come Saturday. So it's a tricky forecast. There is still some uncertainty with it, so just make sure you're staying close to our weather team. Much cooler as we're heading into Monday with a high of 50. Next Thursday, our high temperatures even colder. Coming up in just a few minutes, we're going to go into detail into my full weather forecast, showing you a few more things when it comes to the warm up. But for now, let's go ahead and toss things over to Destiny with a check on those roads.
Yeah, right now we're seeing slow traffic between Uptown and South Carolina, the South Carolina border on I-77. So if you're traversing this way through South Charlotte, just be aware that it is bumper to bumper on both sides. But let's start up north right now, northwest Charlotte. We still have the left lane blocked on Brookshire Boulevard, southbound at I-85. The exit 36, this orange behind here has not let up anytime soon. So this has been going on for a while for folks headed southbound. Now, this is new, a disabled vehicle on Randolph Road North at Colonial Avenue. A huge backup right there for folks headed northbound on Randolph, and the right lane is blocked at this time. We're also seeing a crash on Woodlawn Road in both directions at Nations Crossing Road. This is as you're approaching I-77, and the incident is in the right lane, so just a heads up there. And then a huge backup on Westinghouse Boulevard in both directions at Steel Creek Road. And then this one is our oldest accident on Ray Road, both directions at Ardrey-Kell Road. It's been on the map since 7 this morning. So just a heads up that you might still see a backup here on Ardrey-Kell and Ray Road. So zooming out, we can see exactly where those backups are this morning. Still a lot of congestion. It is a peak commute time right now. So just a heads up there. And these are what our travel times are looking like. Very heavy, especially Gastonia into Charlotte.
Well, as the Panthers get ready for the playoffs this weekend, join us for coverage all week long right here on WCNC Charlotte and over on WCNC Plus, which you're watching right now. Join us every night this week at 9 for our Panthers on the Plus special. And on Saturday, join us at 2:30 for an hour-long pregame show on WCNC Plus Outside the Bank with Nick Carboni, Daniel Stein, and Logan Campbell. Well, enjoying cheap gas, the crisis in Venezuela may shake things up. What it means for your wallet, coming up next. Venezuela's military held funerals Wednesday for soldiers killed during the U.S. attack that seized President Nicolas Maduro. In the country's capital, a military band played as relatives and soldiers marched behind flag-draped caskets with National Guard members patrolling the cemetery. Venezuela officials say at least 24 military officers were killed in the overnight attack. The country's interior minister says the overall death toll is more than 100 people, including civilians. Americans have been enjoying some of the lowest gas prices in years. Will the situation in oil-rich Venezuela change that? The answer is complex. Karen Kaifa is in Washington with a look at the possible scenarios and what it all means for consumers.
President Trump says Venezuela will turn over 30 million to 50 million barrels of oil to the U.S.
We're going to sell it in the marketplace at market rates, not at the discounts Venezuela was getting. That money will then be handled in such a way that we will control how it is dispersed in a way that benefits the Venezuelan people.
The number may sound like a lot, but for perspective, the United States consumed just over 20 million barrels of oil per day over the past month, which underscores how the lengthy process of U.S. access to Venezuela's vast oil reserves, the largest in the world, may not change how much drivers pay at the pump too soon.
I think when the president and his advisors talks to U.S. oil companies, executives, and analysts, I think there's going to be a mismatch between how quickly the president wants the money to flow and the oil production to grow and how quickly it will really happen.
Restoring Venezuela's oil production infrastructure will require billions of dollars of investment, and with the political climate still uncertain, it may be a risky sell to the private sector. And forecasters already say 2026 will be the cheapest year for gas since COVID. OPEC production is up and global demand down. After the weekend's events, fuel savings platform Gas Buddy stood by a prediction gas prices will average just below $3 a gallon nationally this year. In Washington, I'm Karen Kaifa.
And right now, according to AAA, the average regular gas prices remain under $3. In the U.S., the average price is $2.82. Right here in North Carolina, we sit at $2.68, and South Carolina is at $2.57. Former Vice President Mike Pence on Wednesday pushed for a financial agreement for U.S. acquisition of Greenland rather than a military assault. The comments follow mounting speculation from the White House about the future of the Arctic island. Greenland is a high resource-rich island in the Atlantic and is a self-governing territory of Denmark.
There ought to be some long-term financial arrangement that would allow us to acquire that land, just like the Louisiana Purchase, just like Alaska and beyond.
The White House has signaled that President Donald Trump is discussing a range of options to acquire Greenland. And it said using the U.S. military is not off the table. Trump has repeatedly stated he wants to annex Greenland, claiming it's needed for American security purposes. President Donald Trump signed a memorandum on Wednesday that withdraws the U.S. from 66 international organizations. A White House social media post said the group no longer serves American interests. They include 31 United Nations organizations, one of them being the bedrock treaty that underpins international cooperation on climate change. The Trump administration has long denounced international organizations and has already withdrawn from some, including the World Health Organization.
All right, it's beautiful outside this morning, and we're getting ready for another very nice day ahead with those above average temperatures sticking around. But we do have cooler air making its way towards us. I'll let you know when to expect it straight ahead. Well, good morning, everyone. Let's get a look at the weather forecast. We are tracking lots of things for you today. Now, let's start with this. Yesterday was so pretty, wasn't it? Not only did it look nice, but those temperatures were so warm. 74 degrees is where we topped off at. And now this morning, at least we don't have that fog like we did yesterday at this time. We're getting you ready and prepared for another very mild day today. Live camera coming in from downtown Monroe. But today we will have increasing clouds as we head throughout the afternoon and the evening. Near 70 degrees, though, for our daytime highs today. Tomorrow, similar. However, a lot of cloud coverage stay in place. And then we're watching a storm system push across really much of the country. A cold front could trigger some scattered showers and even some storms for us by Saturday. Here's our satellite and radar. You can see it's pretty quiet across the Carolinas, but once we head over towards the mid-south, look at this. Storms are already starting to fire up this morning from Texas, Oklahoma, up into Kansas, and it's all tracking slowly but surely eastward, heading over towards Arkansas and Missouri next. That is the same storm system that is going to make its way towards the Carolinas by Saturday. Let's detail out a few things because the Storm Prediction Center has already highlighted several states that will be impacted by that strong cold front. By tomorrow, parts of Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama could even see some strong storms that could form some tornadoes. Now, once we head into Saturday, it's overall going to weaken a lot significantly, so that's good for us. But this is a change in our weather forecast. Yesterday, the Carolinas, we were not highlighted at all when it came to our severe weather risk. But now the Storm Prediction Center does have us highlighted in this yellow, meaning that the risk for severe storms, it's very low, but it's not zero. All right, so here's our futurecast. This is going to be the line of thunderstorms that we'll be watching for you. Pausing time here. Here's 11 o'clock in the morning on Saturday when we'll start to see those scattered rain showers continue to move across really much of the southeast. Now, a lot of our models are still indicating that there could be some shower and storm activity as we're heading throughout the afternoon, even early in the evening on Saturday. And while we're not saying for sure there's going to be any storm activity, there is a chance. And it's because really the ingredients will be in place if that front reaches us by Saturday afternoon. Temperatures will be warm. We'll have that heat and humidity for some of those storms to form. So if you're heading out to the game, keep this in mind, keep the rain gear handy, and stay close to the WCNC weather team. We'll be tracking those storms for you very carefully. All right, Destiny, let's get a check on those roads.
Yeah, right now we're just seeing a lot of congestion on our interstates, pretty much each one. I-85 here near Gastonia, I-77 south of Uptown, all the way extending to South Carolina. And then I-485, we have some new issues. And one of those is at the Weddington Road overpass on I-45 outer loop, backed up to Providence Road. So this is the backup that we're seeing right now. And the right lane is blocked just 2 miles ahead of the NC-16 Providence Road exit. So just a heads up there for folks out near Weddington and Matthews. The left lane is blocked here on NC-16, Brookshire Boulevard southbound at I-85. This has been hanging around for a while, and as you can see, that backup for southbound traffic just has not let up, and the left lane is still blocked. So heads up if you are trying to get on I-85 up in the northwest. And then a disabled vehicle is causing a lot of issues. I'll move to this side so you can see Randolph Road has a backup here because the disabled vehicle is in the right lane, Randolph Road north at Colonial Avenue. And then this is an accident that has cleared, so this is good news. Woodlawn Road in both directions near I-77, specifically Nations Crossing Road, is looking just fine. I'll send it over to Larry.
This is Sprinkle. Time for This Day in History. It's all about Elvis Presley. Elvis Aaron Presley was born on this day in 1935. If he were alive today, he would be 91 years old. There he is. This is the earliest known picture of him. Elvis at 3 years old, cute little kid, and he was born in Tupelo. That's the actual home that his father built there in Tupelo, Mississippi. And we all know most of his life he lived in Graceland. He lived and died there, Graceland in Memphis, Tennessee. Back in 1977, February 20th, he was right here in Charlotte, and a picture from that concert back in 1977. Elvis Presley, born this day, 1935. He died August 16th, 1977. I'm Larry Sprinkle.
Well, we're going to take a quick break, but keep it right here on WCNC Plus. You see our own Jane Monreal is going to take over at the top of the hour, live from our Impact studio. Her and Carlene Bragg are going to have more on the Minneapolis shooting.
Good Thursday morning, everyone. We are starting out the day with beautiful sunny skies out there from Monroe to Kannapolis, even right here in Lake Norman and Charlotte. Temperatures aren't too bad, 40s and 50s across the board. We're at 50 in Charlotte and Monroe, 30 degrees currently in Boone, so cooler there. Not quite as warm as yesterday, but still pretty nice with increasing clouds into the afternoon. Plan for upper 60s today. Again, yesterday we topped off at 74 with plenty of sunshine. Few degrees cooler today and more clouds on the way. As we're looking at the weekend, we're tracking a cold front moving in Friday and into Saturday. That's going to provide us opportunities for scattered rain showers and possibly a few storms before Sunday rolls around, and we'll get the return of sunny skies. Look at early next week. Those below freezing temperatures, they'll return heading out the door early on Monday. Destiny.
We got a couple of traffic jams out there this morning, and the most notable one right now is on I-485 out near Weddington. So just a heads up, I-485 outer at the Weddington Road overpass, traffic blacked up to the Providence Road exit. Right lane is blocked. Going up north now, north of Uptown Brookshire Boulevard southbound at the left lane is blocked at I-85.